It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
Great.
Yeah. Keeping on.
Hope everybody's doing okay out there. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy? As he ducks and runs for cover.
I'm not getting in the way of this.
Well, I watched an interesting movie this week.
Did you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Do tell.
Right. Well, there's been a lot of talk about Mulan. And at first it was the paywall, they put it behind, and yada, 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 yada. Well, I had a friend who bought the movie, and she was like, hey, have you watched Mulan yet? And I said, no, I was trying to get some kind of ideal from her. What is it, is it good? Because she's pretty good on Disney like I am. And she's like, well, I'm just going to let you watch it.
Oh, no.
That was, yeah. Within the first 5 minutes, you can definitely tell they totally went wrong from this. I don't know if Disney will ever learn the lesson that when they do such a good job with a cartoon, don't mess it up and make it live action. And if you do make it live action, don't completely change the story. There were so many, what's the word other than crap that I can use for this? There were so many Western elements in this movie that it's kind of like they forgot the core of Mulan's ballad. There was so many things that made Mulan so heroic, and a lot of it was either taken away from her or really, really, really dumbed down. I mean, it was horrible. First of all, you guys remember the cartoon, right? She
Vaguely.
Goes off to war because they called for a boy from each family. Even now, it's a big thing to have a boy in China. That's what they want, is the sons to carry on the name, and it's tradition, it's heritage. This has been way back when this has been established. Well, when the family is called, since Mulan's father doesn't have a son, he has to go and fight. Well, he's old. He can't fight. He's using a cane, So instead, Mulan steps in as a boy and fights in her father's place for the family to try and bring, Mulan always felt like being a girl, she didn't bring that honor to her family that her father wanted, so a lot of this was for her father's approval. In the cartoon, it didn't really matter to her who the emperor was. He was just somebody who needed to be saved. That was the whole, it wasn't an honor to fight for the kingdom and everything, which the live action totally completely played that up. But in the cartoon, which made it so relatable and such a good role model for girls, is when Mulan starts off, she can't fight. She knows nothing about it. They've been preparing her to get married, not to fight, But the guys in her group, they can't fight either. So it kind of didn't make her look like, oh, look at me, I'm the girl, who can't fight.
Evens the playing field.
Right. She learned alongside of them, and it showed her strength that she couldn't make up in brawn. She made up in smarts. The strength test, none of the guys could climb up the pole. What they were using as the heavy weights, gave them hindrance and kept pulling them down. She used that to her advantage, and she climbed the pole. No, she wasn't stronger than the other guys. She just thought smarter, So a lot of times with Mulan in the cartoon, it was kind of I won't say happy accident, but it was more of a learning process for her, and maybe I didn't intentionally mean to do that, but it worked. I'm smart. And in the original ballad, though, that differed from the cartoon, none of the guys knew she was a girl. They didn't know until a long time after the war was over and they came to visit her. And that's when they were like, holy shit, you're a chick. Why didn't we know this? In the movie.
Because I was hiding it from you, you dumbass.
Right. You weren't supposed to know.
That's why, right.
But in the movie, for one thing, they used Western words like witches. They would have never called her a witch in China. They may have called her the fox spirit, but she would have never been called a witch, which they played with some very dark elements in this movie, which to me, once again, took away from her strength. And she's no longer special because she had power. And they gave her a sister. So it was kind of like, wow, there's so many different things. Just
practically a different story, one might say.
Yes. And then they took her dragon away. Now, if you know nothing about Chinese tradition, you know about the dragon, right? I mean, it's enriched in their culture. It has very different meanings. Each dragon has a different meaning to them. It made sense to see Mushu in the cartoon, In the movie, it's a phoenix.
Which is not an Eastern thing.
No. It's an Egyptian thing, for one. The phoenix rising from the ashes, which was said in this movie. Now, don't get me wrong, China has phoenixes, but they don't have the great lore behind them with the flames. They're just a pretty bird. Nothing special about them. That's totally different lore, different culture, different everything. Mm-hmm. One of the homes they put her in for the live action, to make it look nicer, they actually used in the southern part of China. Now, in Mulan, this is the Northern Emperor. He would have never went to the southern parts looking for troops. That wasn't...
In all reality, it takes too long to get them from the south.
It does. But it looked pretty, so here's her little house, all cute. And she's a fighter. They show her at the age of 5 climbing on a roof, chasing a chicken, and when she falls off, she does this really graceful somersault flip thing, and it's like, what the hell? So now already you have said in the first 5 minutes of this movie that she's a fighter and she's strong and her father trained her and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, that's bullshit. Even in the ballad, she didn't know any of that.
Yeah. No.
She had to learn. All she knew, and I hate to put it this way, but all she knew is how to be a girl. And
that's because in that culture, that's all she would have been taught.
Yeah, right. And that's all you were required to be.
It's legitimate. You may hate to say it, but it's legitimate. It may be weird for our culture, but for their culture, that's what it was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And in the ending of the cartoon, the emperor hands her the Hun's sword that she used to kill him with. He handed her that, and he gave her a medal. Now, this is significant because in that culture, when you kill someone, you are awarded their honor with their sword. They died by that. It's got their life force in it. It is now yours. It's a very humbling gift, And then the medal had family on it. Now, in the live action, the emperor does not give her the sword. He sends his guards with it. And on the sword is the Chinese letters for family. Now, if you once again go back to Chinese culture, if the emperor did not present you with that sword, he sends it to you to die by that sword. And if your pride is what is making the emperor, you kill yourself for this, pride would be written on the sword. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. So for hers, the message that they sent out, now remember, this is their target audience that they wanted to view this in, is that she would die because of her family, because she had a pride in her family. Your family is what killed you. So it was kind of like, wow. You know, I don't know much about China, but these are things that you just kind of, I thought it was common.
You might be going a little deeper than the average American at this point, but still.
It's different culture, but even in the samurai, they knew what happened with that sword, So just that little detail that they wanted to change for the movie changed the whole meaning of the movie. And then,
Not if you're not paying any attention to the Chinese culture.
right.
Not if you're Disney, basically, because they don't give a fuck about Chinese culture. They're
you know
selling
what?
shit to Americans, and
In their
Americans don't know a damn
cartoon,
thing about Chinese culture.
no, but in their cartoon, they did change a few things, but they nailed it. It was perfect. They showed her. Now, granted, Disney is known for kidding up things. Like Elsa, she was a queen, a murderous queen who lived out in a frozen world. She wasn't all singing snowmen, but you can understand that. But when you change things of giving the greatest woman hero witchcraft powers, it's kind of like, wow. Anything good they had about that movie, it sucked. So after all this disappointment, I got to looking, and yes, it's pretty much the consensus of the target audience, because remember, they wanted to release that there first. This was their target audience. Pretty much pissed them off too. Because you have people now who are, I won't say my age, but around my age, if not a little bit younger, who grew up watching this in the movie theaters. This was their first representation on the screen, was Mulan. And Disney did a good job. They gave them something to be proud of. They gave something for little girls to look up to, because once again, the whole reason I like some of Disney's movies, not all of them, she didn't need anybody to save her. She saved everybody else, so that was cool. But in this movie, they kind of dumbed that down. There's nothing special about her. And then by giving her a sister, okay, well, it as a girl, you have certain role models. And when they looked at Mulan, it was like, even me, I could be that. But when you start her off as some supernatural badass, it doesn't give anything for the little girl to aspire to. Instead, they see her sister, who's so happy she's going to get married and, do the right thing. And it's kind of like, Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? So you're either really super cool and badass, or your only hope is, I can get married. So it's kind of like you drop the ball, Disney. You let the everyday girl down because now they have to be some kind of badass to be Mulan. You can't.
They have to be Mulan the Vampire Slayer.
Right. So it was kind of like, wow. And their CGI department is bad. They need to take a listen from their animation department, because if Disney would not have scrolled across the screen at the beginning, I would not have said this was a Disney movie. But I think they did very poorly in trying to represent a certain culture and then have 4 white guys write it. They could have did that a little differently, Or
see, you're assuming that they tried to represent a culture, and they clearly did not. They were just trying to appeal to a certain age demographic.
Yeah.
That's all they were doing, which is sad, because they were better when they didn't do that.
But the representation that they threw out there, it pisses me off that they're going for that age group. Because now, like I said, there's no, it can be anybody kind of dream there. You're either powerful badass or you're the sister, So how many little girls are walking away from that now going, I'm the sister? Just kind of disappointing.
Right.
When they
who are they going to relate to better?
Right.
That's the question you have to ask, and that's the deal.
They can't do flips off roofs and somersaults down mountains, because they never showed her busting her ass a few times to get there. She's always been a badass. It came easy.
Right. They're trying to paint her as a superhero instead of what she really is.
Yeah. Which is what differed from the cartoon, Mm-hmm. So if you haven't seen this one yet, don't. It'll be on the streaming service in December. I'm so glad I didn't pay money for this because I'd be like even more fuming than I am right now. But wow. And right now, this may get me in trouble, Mike, so you might have to cut this part out. But right now, we live in such a empowered feminist environment. I am surprised this has gone past the radar. I really am. It's just kind of disappointing, And little boys, I'm not saying little boys are any differently, but they've got Batman and G.I. Joe and, we don't have a lot of good role models for girls. So when they drop the ball this badly on one, it's like, wow.
Yeah, it hurts.
It does. And it's not just some little fairy tale. This is actually ingrained in somebody's culture and is a very serious hero over there, It's like, wow.
Which proves that they didn't care about that in the first place.
No, at all. So yeah, this will definitely be one that I wrote down not to see again. And
oh, come on, you're going to hate watch it again in December when it comes out for free.
No, I will blog it off the TV. But I that is one thing. I won't be showing it to my granddaughter. Right. If they want her to see it, cool. But nope, we'll stick with Puppy Dog Pals.
Yep.
Definitely weird. And then you see the numbers that this movie did. Oh, godly. Yeah. So even if they've made a lot of people mad, it's not really going to do anything because,
Because they've made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so that's all that really mattered in the first place.
Yeah.
That's all they cared about.
And we won't learn anything from this, and we'll keep peddling crap.
Oh, no. We were never trying to learn anything from it in the first place. We were just trying to make money. Why else would we remake all of our big hits from 25 years ago if we weren't just trying to cash in? I mean, come on. Seriously. They're not trying to reinvent anything here.
No.
They're just trying to cash in.
Mm-hmm.
That's all this ever was. There's the only reason why they painted Will Smith's ass blue.
Yeah.
Was to make a buttload of money.
Yep. No pun intended. But yeah, I don't know if maybe the animation department researches their stuff a little bit better. But like with Moana, they stayed really close to that culture and that heritage and that lore, I would have to say the same thing for the cartoon version of Mulan. I mean, of course, they couldn't with Pocahontas. You don't want to traumatize a bunch of kids, but...
Oh, no, please, let's traumatize a bunch of kids and make it realistic.
Right.
I mean, that's that whole... Oh, don't even get me going on that.
Yeah.
But honestly, you said that about Moana, and you were just complaining about Frozen. So... Clearly, it's a hit or miss thing. I'm not sure it's the animation department or it's specific directors or writers or producers or whatever. But yeah, some clearly somebody cares and somebody doesn't somewhere along the line.
Right. But see, Elsa is a fairy tale. With a fairy tale, you have a little bit of wiggle room to play with that a little bit. The Little Mermaid, same thing. It was a fairy tale by Brahms. Was it Brahms or Grimm? Maybe Grimm.
I thought it was Anderson.
The dark one. Yeah, it may have been Anderson. The really dark one. But, you have a little bit of wiggle room when it's a fairy tale. When it's actual people have built their culture around this person, you can't really play with that. It's not I won't say it's factual, but in most people's minds, Greek gods and that kind of thing is kind of factual to them. You don't mess with that. that. You know, you
Right.
don't.
It's cultural on a different level than a fairy tale. I mean, fairy tales are cultural too, but yeah, not quite to that mythological level.
Right. Where some people's religion and things, you
Right.
know. So, I don't know. They definitely, they could have cracked a book on this one. And like I said, there's so many Western elements in this, it's not even funny. You can't get through the opening credits without realizing that, you know. And I don't know, a lot of it, I guess, could have been dumbed down for us to understand it, but they didn't do a good job of doing that at all. I understood the cartoon. I didn't understand what made Mulan so special in the live action. And they definitely changed the father-daughter relationship. So, yeah, everything that was kind of important to her became not so important in the movie.
Honestly, that part might have been culturally dumbed down in the animated version as well, a bit. I mean, I admittedly have not seen the movie in 25 years, but
yeah, it's been a while.
It seemed like he doted on his daughter in a way that nobody else around him did. So,
yeah.
I mean, it kind of stood out how much he actually cared about his daughter, because that was culturally not a thing either.
Yeah.
Daughters were second class, plain and simple.
And, you know, when she went to leave in the cartoon, he ran after her and he fell and he dropped the little flower that she gave him. It was sad. When she left in the movie, he was kind of like, huh, go. That's your job, woman. You know, so it was kind of like, wow.
Right. And that's actually probably a little closer to the way it would have been. But
yeah,
anyway, still, the point.
Yeah.
You made your point. I mean,
yeah.
I'm arguing a nitpicky little piece of it, honestly, so I should stop. But
no, but yeah, I see where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah.
But
doesn't excuse what they did.
Not by a long Not at all. And I hope in the future they will rethink what they do, but
because we know all the Disney execs listen to our show.
Well, yeah, they would have had us canceled a long time ago.
Not the show, mind you, the people. They would have just canceled us, not the show.
Find out what network they're on. Buy it.
That wouldn't cost much.
Right. Yeah, that was interesting. But other than that, I was really surprised all week. I've kind of been looking over my shoulder because it's kind of like, wait a minute, why is everything going really smooth right now? So it's been a pretty good week.
Cool. That's good to hear from you.
Yeah, for once, man. Like I said last week, golly, we had 3 funerals. We had two grandfathers and a father die. So it's just kind of like, wow, the hits just keep coming, people, you know. So but I did make it out of the house. I didn't really want to, but, you know.
Not a good reason to make it out of the house, but right.
Reason. Right. But yeah, so I'm doing good.
Yeah.
And I finally got all caught up, well, all but the newest episode of The Boys. Les, didn't you say you were watching that too?
Yes, I have not started season 2 yet, but I'm going to wait for another week or so.
Yeah. Well, you know, they did the season different this year. And now on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 97% rating. That lets you know it's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Well, this season came out, and they released the first 3 episodes, and now it's 1 episode every week. And people are like, wait a minute, the first season you gave it to us all at once. Let us watch it the way we want to watch it. And now they're like mad bombing the movie. The movie's great, they just don't like the way it's being released. So it's kind of like, wow. But I think with season 2, some of the things that have happened, I won't spoil it for anybody, but I think it's kind of good they've done a weekly so they can kind of gauge, did we go too far yet? Is this going to push out too far yet? No, good, release the next episode. You know. But it's been really good. I mean, I even have Phil hooked on it now. So,
Ooh.
yeah, he's like, I don't like this kind of stuff, but I found myself talking to one of his buddies on a job site about it. So it's like, yeah, it's good. But see, he liked Preacher too. So when I told him it was the same guy writing it, he was like, wow. So,
Yeah, you'll get him in yet.
yeah.
I mean, it may take 40 more years, but you'll get him in.
But there's been a couple of the new episodes that was just kind of like, holy shit. I mean, I did not see that coming. So it's been really good. So if you haven't watched that one, you really, really need to get caught up on that one because it's pretty good. And already, I've read bits and pieces of the comic book. I'm not real familiar with all of it, but the bits and pieces I've read, I don't think they're going to be comic accurate, and I put the air quotes around that, because some of the things they're doing is already so different that you can't tell the story that way. You know, there's no way they could go back and go, oh yeah, but this guy's going to do this because it's already way different. So if you've read the comic and you're like, yeah, the movie is pretty different, so, or the TV show. And I've actually really enjoyed it. So
Cool.
Well, and I don't see that being a bad thing because for that reason. Because if you read the comics and then you're watching the show, really, are you wanting to just sit here waiting for that particular moment or that sequence or something like that to happen? I mean, you already have it. You know, it's just like with The Walking Dead. You know, Kirkman on purposely wanted the show to be different from the book, so the comic readers didn't have upper hand on those who were just watching the show.
right.
And I think that's a smart thing to do.
Well, we knew a basic timeline of things, but yes, he changed it enough to where you couldn't go, oh, you know, Eugene's about to get killed, you know.
Right.
So he
does?
Yeah, right. Well, see, in the comic book, I believe he did. And, I mean, if you haven't seen Walking Dead, I'm sorry, but I think he'll be one of the last guys standing, you know. So they changed enough of it around. Lori was supposed to still be alive, but they killed Carol off instead. Or Carol was supposed to die, and they killed Lori off instead. And people just liked Carol better. And now I hear that her and Norman Reedus are doing their own spin-off thing. So,
Right. Norman Reedus, who plays Daryl, who wasn't in the comics at all, right?
At all. Yeah,
so
at
there
all.
You go.
Well, they kind of had a character later that could have been, but Kirkman made that promise, I will never put him in the comic book. That's why when he drew the cover for April Fool's and he put Daryl on the cover, everybody lost their freaking mind.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's cold, but that's funny.
Yeah. And then I think it got a little out of hand, and he was like, wait.
April Fools! April Fools!
Look at the date!
Wow.
So, but yeah, it's been enough difference to where they haven't really. And one of the big things that I know about pertaining to Homelander and Black Noir, it can't happen. It can't. So they're going to have to bring in a different way if they're going to do that storyline.
You said at the beginning you weren't going to spoil anything, and now I don't know.
No.
I haven't watched the show, so I don't know if you're really spoiling anything. But
no, I'm not.
Be careful.
The comic book would have spoiled that.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying. I can't see them playing that storyline in the show. So.
Okay.
Yeah, but no spoilers. No spoilers.
Just making sure.
Yep. Yeah, that's all I got though.
All right. Cool.
Thank you. Good night.
Oh man. Okay, so what did I do this week? Holy crap. I edited a podcast. That's what I did this week.
Monster.
Took me all damn week to do it too, just about. Wow, that's definitely our longest show ever. It's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, but man, there's a lot of back end on that for sure. Some a lot of it's a lot. I'm I'm almost there on the movies for October too. So I've got 2 left. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Mm-hmm.
We had a ton of fun recording our All the Horror episode too. We did that. Not in the past week, but we did it. I don't know that we mentioned that we did it yet, but it was
We may have, I don't know, but
it was a ton of fun.
Yep.
Yep, it was.
As far as we can tell, everybody involved had a good time. So
Mm-hmm.
that by itself is a win.
And that drops October 7th, correct?
That is the current drop date for it. Yes.
As of right now.
As of right now. That has only changed once so far, so who knows what will happen. But you know, it's one guy basically, or I think actually there are 2 people kind of running all of it now. So it's a lot to coordinate, and so I'm certainly not going to knock anybody for things having to change. So it's all good. Sam does an awesome job.
Cool.
That would be Sam from the Invasion of the Remake podcast. He's the guy behind it all, basically. I mean, he mooches as much help as he can get, but he's the guy who started everything. Props to him.
All righty.
For me, I just returned from a trip to Buda, Texas.
I'm sorry.
Buda?
Buda is south of Austin. And I went with our friend Thomas Branch and his girlfriend to go to a wrestling match.
Ooh.
A wrestling match. Actually, there were, I want to say, 8 bouts for the card. And in these 8 bouts, it was all women.
Ooh.
You had women referees, women wrestlers, women announcers. Everything was run by a core of women there. First time that anything like that had been done. It was pretty amazing. The wrestlers were very good athletes, which was fun to take because they were not like real slugs. They were action people.
You mean like you get when you get the guys doing it on a local basis, you get some real kind of out of shape looking dudes in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These ladies were having fun because they shouted at the crowd. They got responses from the crowd. So the interaction was constantly going. There were a couple times you could see a villain kind of smirk because somebody in the crowd yelled something amusing. So the banter back and forth was the most fun. Like I said, it was one night. So we got there Friday, and I thought it was going to be Saturday night, but it was Friday night. We ended up going to the matches. It was about 2.5, 3 hours long, and then we were done. You could go talk to the wrestlers. You could go get autographs, you could get pictures, all sorts of stuff. They had an area for this. The location was at an arcade. Yes, an arcade. It was set outside next to the go-kart track, or no, I guess it was the bumper car track, which was not in use during the matches. Thank goodness.
That's good, right?
But it was just fun to take it in. Friend Branch had a picture he had done of one of the wrestlers, Thunder Rosa, and he had done this print for her, but he had also made a T-shirt with the image. So he had a T-shirt on. His girlfriend had a T-shirt, and they gave one to Thunder Rosa also.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
And that's the way he was going to make contact, which he's done before with other wrestlers. But this is a nice way to make contact and get both their reaction and get on the minds of their owners and the business deals. So it's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Very nice. I don't really have a lot this week. There's too much real life stuff going on and all that kind of stuff. And of course, getting ready for October, which, hey, we're starting it up next week. Hard to believe.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a big bag of nothing, unfortunately, but things it'll change next week, I'm sure. A couple things I want to go over before we get into this week's discussion. Our podcast is now available on Amazon Music. We just found out here just within the last couple of days. Is this a new thing? Because I've never heard of Amazon Music until you sent me the email saying that we were there.
It is.
Okay.
I think we got a month or two ago. I got an email from Libsyn, our awesome host, and they were adding a couple of different outlets because they've got a bunch of them, and that they're awesome because you go in and you do a few things to set up each one, and then they just kind of instantly go to all of those sources, and so yeah, there were the two of them. There was one that was one of the big ones in India, and then there was Amazon Music, and I think it was kind of being kept a little bit hush hush at the time, because they were saying, hey, we're not sure when this is going to happen, but we're going ahead and setting it up anyway, blah, blah. And so, yeah, obviously every time I get one of those, I put our name in the hat because, hell, why not? Let's get a little bit of exposure anyway, right?
Right.
That's kind of what we're here for. I mean, at least partly. So, yeah, and I set it up, and like I said, I had no idea when it was actually going to happen, but I just happened to get an email, I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday, which said, hey, you're on Amazon. Congratulations, you're on Amazon Music now. I'm like, woo.
Very nice.
Not the most exciting story, but, you know.
Well,
The background stuff.
News.
The background stuff rarely is. It's boring. You put your name into something, and 3 months later something happens with it. But, you know, it's cool. Yeah. So if you're only listening to us on whatever you're listening because you can't get us on Amazon Music, well, guess what? You can now.
Yeah, now. Definitely. So there's that. Of course, want to mention, like I always do, that we do have a Discord now. It's been up and running for a few months. You're more than welcome to come join us there. We do have an invite on our website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Right there on the homepage. And then there's also on our social media icons. It's there too, so you can just click on that, and it's auto invite. So come join us there. Post a lot of fun stuff. Have some interesting discussions. If you're a long-time listener, you know we were doing meet and gabs before. We're now doing virtually due to the current situation with the pandemic and all that. So we actually have a voice channel that we have set up to, so we'll have them there. And by the time this episode drops, we're going to have our second one. But we're right now it's going to be like right around the fourth Saturday of the month, 7 p.m. Central Time. But all this information will be on the Discord. We're talking now about what to do for October. Try to have a little something fun. Not that we don't have fun in our discussions and all that, but just something a little bonus since it is October and Halloween and all that. So stand by for that. And I do want to mention that we were made aware of a charity. We've got some information on our website, but we definitely want you to check out their website for further information. It's called Give Comics Hope, and that is the web address. It's www.givecomicshope.org, and it's a charity set up to help out local comic shops that are struggling financially. They're taking financial donations. They're taking collection donations. I could go into detail, but it'd be better if you go to their website and check that out. And these are they're doing all this to try to help out the local comic shops, as the website says, to give back. And I thought that's a kind of a cool thing, especially given how the stores have struggled. Well, I mean, all businesses struggled through this current situation, especially the small businesses. But we kind of wanted to get that out there, make people aware of this. Because I mean, even when there was no books coming out, if I'm sure y'all picked up on it because we kind of hit you overhead with it. We were doing what we could to help out local comic shops with making suggestions of books that were already out there, more than likely in their shops that you could be able to purchase from them to kind of help them out. So definitely check that out. Once again, the web address is www.givecomicshope.org. So, and if you can, go ahead and check them out and support them if you can. All right. It is that time again. It is a casting call. And if you're not familiar with that, because we do these on every other monthly basis, is we will take a comic property. It may have been something that's already been done as a live action, as a show or a movie or something like that, or something that hasn't been done, and we just kind of do a casting call for the characters. For example, we did one for the 1989 Batman, the Tim Burton Batman's 89 and 92, and then we kind of continued that with additional characters and that kind of stuff. Or we did something different, like the last one we did was animated Gru the Wanderer show. So that's kind of what we've been doing. So for this one, I went a little more obscure and kind of tie in a little bit closer to, of course, with Horror Month coming up. So I picked Creature Commandos. This is a group It was in DC Comics. Which war title was it?
Weird War Tales, wasn't it?
Will War Tales. Yeah. Okay. This was a team that was put together, and these are literally monsters that are just kind of a Suicide Squad team. They just go in and handle dangerous missions during World War II. So, and I kind of envision this as a feature film for this year. I don't know about you guys, but going through and researching and reading some of the tales and all that, this was a little tougher for me, probably because there was a little bit more freedom. Because I did, and this is just me. I couldn't really get too much of a vibe on some of the characters. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of cool that it was a little bit freer. We could be a little bit more creative, but it was also a little tougher, at least on my part. I don't know about y'all.
Yeah, I, for one, was completely unfamiliar with these guys until this past week. So I did this. I don't want to say I did this quickly, but I did it without having the knowledge of basically everything that ever came out under the title. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be some kind of fast and loose direction choices that I made along the way. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay though. It'll still be fun.
So, with that said, who would like to lead off?
I'll kick us off, and I'll go straight down the list for you guys.
Okay.
All right. One attitude you could definitely pick up on was this first guy, Lieutenant Matthew Shreve. He was a dick. I mean,
don't hold back, Liz. Tell us how you really feel.
He made fun of him all the time and everything else, and he was supposed to be the leader. So in this role, I was trying to think of somebody who was a dick and could get the job done and, still be beneficial to a group setting. And I went with Michael Cutlitz. He was also Abraham from The Walking Dead. I think he's got that gruff to him. He's sarcastic, and he can play a dick part pretty well. So. And he always gives me that commanding authority kind of attitude in almost everything he plays in. So.
Cool.
Yep.
Nice.
Good choice.
Okay. Who wants to go next?
Oh, I'll go next.
Okay.
I came at Shreve, I think, with actually a slightly different perspective. I viewed him as honestly more of a psychopath than a dick. I mean, clearly the dude had a death wish. I mean, because there's no other reason, even in a World War II military setting, to verbally abuse the people under his own command the way he did, and the fact that any one of them could have just literally torn him to pieces in seconds.
Yeah.
At any time. Clearly the guy was either just completely psychotic or had a death wish. How much bearing that had on my casting, I'm not entirely sure. But I picked...
I was thinking, are you going with Bruce Willis?
No. I actually kind of went younger for a lot of these roles because it didn't. I mean, they're soldiers. They're not. I mean, you can't pick a 70-year-old to play anybody in this because, I mean, this guy's only a lieutenant in the military. I mean, he's not likely to be more than about 35. Right. I picked Aaron Paul. Mostly based on what little I have seen of his work from Breaking Bad, but I mean, I think he's older now, and I think he would bring an interesting kind of barely contained crazy to the role, which I think would be fun with this role.
I could see that. He plays a good psycho.
That's what I was thinking. And the idea of him playing someone trying real hard to keep that together it's a fun dynamic, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That was my choice.
Really?
Believe it or not. Yes.
Holy cow.
That's pretty cool.
That's kind of strange that we went that way. But
Right off the bat, too.
Right?
Yeah, well.
Did you guys see that cult movie he played in?
No.
It was a Hulu it was a series, but it was a Hulu original, and he gets involved with this cult without knowing. It was pretty good. I mean, it definitely showed a serious side to his acting and everything. So I definitely agree with that choice.
Cool.
Nice. All right, Les.
I too went fairly young, but rather than be overt about the psychotic, I went with someone that would be subtle in it, and that was Wentworth Miller, played Captain Cold on The Flash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you could see that he had the, no pun intended, cool exterior.
Yeah.
But
And he was a dick.
He could be a dick, sure.
Yeah.
But he was, to me, he was be a fit where he could calmly take orders, but then he would bust out also.
Yeah.
And just go ape shit on these guys. So that was where I was going with it.
Cool.
Yeah, he did that role kind of on Prison Break too, right?
Yeah.
Kind of that bottled, if not crazy, then just angry thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, eternally angry.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I like that choice too. All right, next.
All right. The next guy on our list is Warren Griffith. He was the werewolf. Now, from what I read, Thomas shared some comics with us to kind of brush up on this. From what I read, he was kind of, I don't know, not in control of his powers. Still a little kind of wet behind the ear. And every time I would think of this guy, Tom Holland just kept popping into my head. I think part of what stuck there is, to me, he kind of looks like a younger Michael J. Fox, and Michael J. Fox played Teen Wolf so well. So,
I actually thought it would be hilarious to find a way to sneak either Michael J. Fox or Jason Bateman in a cameo,
yes.
as this guy's dad or something. I don't know.
Right.
I mean,
So
there's
you gotta get your shit together.
yeah, just something.
Yeah.
If you're going cameos, or if you're going with that style, yeah, but comedy.
I like that.
But yeah, cool. This one was a weird one for me, because I actually subconsciously cast this person before I even started reading the comics. And it was completely random because it was from a show that I really never watched, but I happened to catch this one scene as I was flipping channels the other night. And it had this guy in it. And when I started reading the comics, I was like, oh my God, I have to cast this guy for this. I don't know if you know who Lucas Black is, but the show that I flipped past and caught him in for one scene was NCIS New Orleans. So I think a lot of it was the accent, because this guy's Warren is from, I think it was Oklahoma. So there would be a noticeable Southern accent, and the character that Lucas Black was playing in this character had a definite Southern accent. It might even have been a little too much, but he also had kind of I mean, it was an NCIS show, so he had like this level of intensity, but he was also it seemed like it was a situation where his character was in charge, but not normally. Like his boss was gone or something, and so he was having to be in charge, and he wasn't real comfortable with it. So that's kind of, I think, the vibe that I got from it, and I got the same idea with Griffith, because he was, yeah, like you said, not entirely in control, and was actually kind of timid when he was not in wolf form. And so I thought I think this guy could pull it off. And if nothing else, he's got the accent, and it will seem at least semi-genuine that way. But yeah, I mean, there was an intensity there that would be fun.
Every time I think of Lucas Black, though, I see his part in Sling Blade, and I just can't get that.
See, I never saw Sling Blade, so I don't.
Did you? Oh man, that's one that definitely sticks with you. But yeah, as a kid, even he had that little accent, and that's kind of what made you go, "Aw," about him.
Right, which almost makes it sad that he's been typecast that way. But
Yeah.
anyway.
Well, he's from Alabama, so
Right.
maybe that's a good thing.
As long as he can play in Southern shows and movies all the time, I guess he's fine. But it seems crappy that he can't go do Romeo and Juliet for any reason. But whatever.
Okay, when I started looking at this and I started kind of doing research and all that, yeah, I picked up on the whole awkwardness and a farm boy, and man, I was going through trying to find someone who I thought could be awkward and all that, and it can be believable. And this is crazy because the person I came up with is Tom Holland. I was thinking about him in Civil War where him dealing with Tony Stark, and I'm like, okay, I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy. It seems like I'm picking everybody else's picks, but it just when you said that, it's like, oh God, if I picked everybody's picks, oh God.
Clearly, we got to either watch more current stuff or quit doing these casting calls in modern times, because we only know so many people, I guess.
Yeah, so
it's a little weird.
It is very weird.
I thought, isn't it Matthew Lillard who plays Shaggy and Scooby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he would probably do good in this part too.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could take him for 2 hours doing that.
I would place him a little old for that role, but
True.
still, I mean, it would. Yeah, I mean, between
You got hair all over you, so you know.
Well, yeah, you're typecasting a little too, but he also did a really good job in Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to his co-star from that?
I don't know.
From
Skeet
Scream?
Ulrich.
I think actually I saw that they're getting ready to redo Scream, and both of the guys are going to come back for that.
Well,
along with
I remember seeing that Nev Campbell was down for it.
And I can't remember the guy's name, but he played the dopey security guard, Doobie.
It was David Arquette.
That's David Arquette.
Yes, David Arquette. He's coming back too. So sounds like the originals are coming back for it.
Also, Liz, I think Doobie was his name from the parody.
Oh.
Yeah. Scary movie.
Yeah, I don't think that was his name in it. I think it might have been something like Dewey or something, but
Dewey. Yeah, it was Dewey. I like Doobie better. I was just talking about
Obviously.
Scooby. And
I only like doobies when there are brothers involved. But anyway.
Well, because his wife or former wife is coming back too for that movie.
Yep. All right.
Yeah, they're coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of would almost rather see just a straight up reboot, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you bring back a character that died on screen?
I don't
But
know,
did he
man.
really?
Matthew Lillard's dead. I think who's the other one?
The character,
Did-
not
Yeah.
the actor.
yeah. Well, yeah,
Right,
I
okay.
know. But
No.
the
Just making
character
sure
died
that
in
was
the
clear.
film.
Skeet Ulrich died
Yeah,
too.
they both died in the first film.
Or what did y'all tell me last week? The movie starts with all of them in the shower.
It can go one of two ways:
Right.
death or a dream. My choice, I thought of this character because I see him do neurotic. He was kind of neurotic in the movie Rounders with Matt Damon, and that was Edward Norton.
Ah, the Hulk.
A Hulk, anyway.
Not a good Hulk, but a
No.
Hulk, yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Don't make.
I liked him in that.
I did too.
I thought he brought he was a different Banner, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
I liked him. I liked what he did with Banner. I can't say he was great as Hulk, but
No, see, what messed that up was the CGI. You know, wow. I think they got a little bit better with the newer one, but I think when the Hulk first came out, they were like, how do we do this? You know? So.
that was the second try. That's the thing.
Yeah.
The first one was even worse.
Isn't that Eric Bana?
Yeah, which I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even blame that guy. It wasn't that he didn't ruin that movie. I mean, he
Yeah.
didn't really add much to it either, but he didn't ruin that movie. That movie was poorly conceived to begin with, which is weird because Ang Lee is kind of an awesome director. I don't
Yeah.
know what the hell he was thinking.
See, to me, it wasn't the story; it was the Hulk. You know.
Mhm.
So.
Man, we're off on the weeds.
Yeah.
Sorry, Les.
Yeah, we are.
We're just kind of ruining your thing here.
Oh, I'm done.
Oh, are you? Okay.
But yeah, no, I kind of, yeah, I could see Norton doing this, sure.
Yeah,
I did
definitely.
too. Yep.
Yeah, that barely bottled, keeping it under control thing, sure.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't he also Fight Club, where he couldn't keep it together and
Yeah.
would wolf out and turn into Tyler?
Spoiler.
Ow. You know how old that movie is?
It's what 20
They've
years
made
now.
3 comic books since then.
All right.
On to the next.
We are.
I guess.
We have Jake, which would actually be a voice for a robot. So I thought, yes, I can pull out some of my voice actors. I was trying to think of a soothing kind of voice. And since James Earl Jones would kind of be cliche to pick, I went ahead and went with Yuri Lowenthal, who actually does Star Wars Rebel, Ben 10, DC superheroes. He's a pretty good actor, but he's got a lot of range. And one of the voices he did in Ben 10 was kind of like a robot voice, but it was kind of a why are you doing to this? You know, what is that leaking from your eye? So I thought he would be a perfect choice for this, just because he's done that kind of voice before and kind of sounded non-human. To me, like Bender, he sounds kind of human, but this would still have that I am a robot.
Or like Bender would say, we're boned.
Right.
Okay. I like that choice.
Yep, totally. And actually, my choice, I actually kind of went in a very similar direction. with the plan, I figured let's go with someone with a soothing voice and kind of cool and smooth, and then you can sort of digitize it up a little bit if you need to make it sound robotic, and then he can also turn it on to do something else if like the robot goes nuts or something, because like I said, I didn't really read all of them. I figure it's at least not outside the realm of possibility. It's almost a trope at this point. But I went with Dennis Haysbert.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
He's got that same kind of that deep, kind of soothing voice, and then he can curse in Spanish if nothing else. I mean,
Yeah.
because we all remember that in Major League.
Mm.
Well, he kind of has that Denzel Washington kind of voice, you know. So, I like that.
Yep. Well, y'all will be happy to know that I did not pick either one of those choices.
Hey, he probably picked Les's choice this time, but anyway.
Right.
Probably. But I'm going first, so you'll be picking
There you
mine
go.
then.
Absolutely.
rats.
That's what he gets for going last.
I went with a choice that I just love the sound of his voice. Yeah, it was too easy to go with James Earl Jones, so I went with Keith David.
Ah, yes.
Ah,
Okay.
Yep. Totally.
Nice choice.
it is.
All right, Les.
For mine, he was such a good villain in 8 movies. Ray Fiennes, who did Voldemort
Yeah.
in the Potter movies. Very calm voice,
Yeah.
but engaging. And with a slight accent, I think that would add to it.
That would.
Yep. I like that choice too.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's like the new Roddy McDowell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Next one we have is Private Elliot Lucky Taylor, which is Frankenstein. So I normally cast The Rock and all of my big burly guys. so this time I went with Van Diesel as my big burly guy. So no particular reason, just the size. Pure size.
Why not? Well, the suck part is that, I mean, he's pretty much mute,
Yeah.
the character, and so you don't get that's why Vin Diesel didn't even occur to me, because I was like, no, you can't put him in something if he's not going to talk. That would be
Right.
bad.
That would be even better.
Then he'd have to act, right? That could be problematic. No, I
But
like.
he's Frankenstein. He's supposed to be a little clumsy, so hey.
I like Vin Diesel. Yeah. See, and this is another one where I probably picked a little outside my comfort zone, but I went with somebody who I knew had had done well in a, I mean, not exactly the same role, but in a role which would easily fit in with this group. I picked John Bernthal. Primarily because of his Punisher work, because, I mean, he's a bigger dude, and he can certainly be brutal, and let's find out if he can act.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet he can.
I liked him in The Walking Dead, too.
There you go.
When I was casting this character, I definitely kept in mind that he would not be talking. So I went with Tyler Mane, because I wanted the physical because he is Frankenstein. But, you know, we don't have to listen to him.
Now, Frank or Tyler Maine, is he the guy from Stranger Things? The sheriff?
No.
No?
He was from X-Men.
He was Sabretooth in X-Men, and he was Michael Myers in the Rob Zombie version.
Okay. Yep. Him and the guy from Stranger Things could be brothers.
Yeah, you're thinking of David Harbour, I believe.
Yeah, that's it.
He was the most recent Hellboy, which I've still not heard any good thing about that movie. But
I have not either.
Anyway.
So.
Cool. That'll work.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I really didn't have a casting for this one because I was thinking it would just go CGI.
Oh, that's a thought.
Yeah.
You didn't have to talk or anything.
Yeah.
We won't get Disney to produce it.
Oh. All right.
If I'm going to do that, I'm just going to get Ming Hua to do the voice and see how she does.
Well, we're talking about AT&T here, so it's not going to be that much better.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what I've got. I just looked at it like it was going to be a voiceless character.
Yeah.
Grunts and screams and CGI up the wazoo. Cool. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
No.
Me neither.
Let you get away with some stuff, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. All right.
All right. Our next guy is Sergeant Vincent Velcro. Is that really his name, Velcro, or did I write that down wrong?
Nope, that's the name that was in the...
Funny thing about that was they ended up having to change it later.
Yeah.
I guess because the Velcro people got hold of it. I don't know.
Probably.
Yeah, you'd think, but yeah, that's what it was, at least in the first ones that I read.
And he's the vampire of the group. And to me, all the pictures that I have seen of him, he looks, if you put the little white streaks in the front of his hair, he looks like James McAvoy. So that's who I chose.
Could see that.
Yeah.
Be nice to see him on screen with hair again.
Right.
Yeah.
Not a bald cap.
But yeah, he can act. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of, again, I had a similar idea, but younger. And I thought the white streaks in his hair was a little weird, to be honest, when I saw it in the book. Because, again, I didn't get the impression that these people were particularly old. I mean, all of these characters, all of their monster forms were all... I mean, it's not like they went and found a werewolf to do this. It's not like they went and found a vampire. These were all experiments gone wrong in some way or form.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get the feeling that Vincent was particularly old. And just kind of flipping through some pictures, some quote-unquote headshots, I actually settled on Jason Ritter for this role. Because he just strikes me as the type that could just, I mean, he could just, I think he could play that kind of, I mean, Velcro's kind of a jerk. I mean, I'd say even more so than Shreve most of the time. But, I mean, they're both jerks, but and I thought it would be fun to see Jason Ritter do that.
That would be cool.
That would be a stretch for him, too.
Mm-hmm.
He would actually be able to accomplish something with it.
Right. He could stretch his, I don't know, stretch his abilities a little bit. Have a little fun with it.
It'd be nice to see him play something again.
Yeah.
I decided to kind of go a little different. I went and went to try to diversify the cast a little bit. So I guess because I just saw him in something recently, and I thought, okay, that's. I think that would be a good choice. I went with Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, cool.
I like him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That could be fun, and I think he's proven he can act too.
Oh God, yeah.
And the first role I saw him in was, I think it was Parenthood with Mae Whitman. And the part he played in there, I mean, was a lot better than Fantastic Four, I'll put it that way.
Well, do we really want to go there? Fantastic.
That
version.
Fantastic Four. Yep. But he does have some range. I mean, it's always a different kind of part that he plays and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, he's a talented actor.
Very.
Yep. Cool.
For me, I kind of got maybe the false impression that this character was almost the comedy relief of the group. So I went with Ryan Gosling.
Okay.
After seeing him in The Nice Guys, which I highly recommend, I think he can have the serious, but he can deliver some of the humor that I was seeing in this character too.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea of this guy being. I mean, even if it's a subtle, basically smart ass, I could, yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Mike's like the smartass. Surprise, surprise.
It would add a little bit of depth to the character, if nothing else, because
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing much in the first few issues.
All right.
All right. So now we've got our last person, Dr. Marina Rhodes Medusa, who was the Gorgon. To me, I felt like she was the true leader of the group. She was sympathetic. She, kind of that lost character. She felt like her whole life was over, couldn't have kids, couldn't fall in love. So to me, she was always that self-doubting kind of person. So I put her as Emma Stone, who could play that kind of naive but assertive kind of role.
Okay.
I kind of like that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I probably didn't read enough issues to get a great feel for her, but what I saw struck me as honestly a bit on the stereotype side. I mean, it was I only saw her in one issue because I had to dig to find her because I kind of started at the beginning and she wasn't there at the beginning, so they added her later.
Yeah.
And it almost felt like when they added Black Canary to the Hard Traveling Heroes thing we read. I mean, they added this really cool character and then stuck her in all of these random stereotype situations. She was most assuredly a damsel in distress. And I kind of felt like that was the beginning. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it got better as it went on. But at the beginning, when I went in there, she struck me as being the same way. And I actually kind of cast someone with the intent of breaking her out of that. I cast Natalie Dormer.
Okay.
Nice.
I think she's got enough of the look because I really liked the way they drew, and this is going to sound weird, but it seemed to me that there was some effort put into drawing Myrna's eyes. That was a kind of an attempt to draw attention away from the snake hair, because the snake hair thing was a little much.
Especially since it didn't do anything. That was
Right. yeah, there was no. I mean, yeah, she wasn't a monster. I mean, yes, she had the weird snake hair thing going on, but otherwise she was just a normal person. Um, but so let's do something with the character then. Let's make her. Let's give her a reason to be intense. I mean, a lot of this would be in the writing, I think, too. But I think, if nothing else, Game of Thrones showed us that Natalie Dormer can do some stuff. So let's run with it.
Cool.
CGI the top of her head, because there ain't no way around that.
Right.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah, when I was doing this one, I definitely looked for someone who's portrayed a leader, kind of a reluctant leader, fighter, and it may have been because I had watched this film real recently when I was working on this. I may have been kind of influenced, but I went with Felicity Jones.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. I like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I like that one too.
I looked at it without the depth that my predecessors had. I just looked for a bitch. And the one that came to mind was Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
I would just like to see her with wavy hair, just to.
Yeah, but dude, you know how she gets around vampires. Come on.
Yeah.
I
And a
don't care if
werewolf
she's-
in a group? You really want to do that?
I don't care if she's a card-carrying member. It doesn't matter to me.
Are we calling babies cards now? Sorry.
Shots fired.
No, you're not. You said that on purpose. You're not sorry at all.
Wow.
No, but I do like that one.
Yeah, I can tell.
Honestly, I can kind of see that too, though.
I could too.
She actually, I mean, say what you will about her, she can act. I mean, at least, I mean, you can't always tell sometimes. I mean, I think she's a little too subtle, but.
Well, and she looks like the kind of person who would be like shy and kind of timid, but then she talks and she's very assertive, and so I think she could do it. I said it is hilarious that there's a vampire and a werewolf in a group.
Kind of, but hopefully the snake hair will distract everybody from that,
Yeah.
I just wanted to tie it all together.
Now, I did read in later episodes that the snakes made like a spitting chemical kind of thing, but other than that, the snakes were just aesthetics, I guess.
Right, they were just for show.
Yeah.
They were just like, a weird chemical reaction thing, and yeah, it didn't really do anything.
Yeah,
But yeah.
I never did understand that. Why they didn't actually. You went that far. Let's just go ahead and go all the way or something.
Make her Gorgon.
Make her literal Gorgon instead of just. Yeah. I did not understand the thinking there.
Me neither.
I think they were just pushed to put a girl in there or something.
Yeah, I mean, they could have at least made the snakes like bite or something, but no.
Well, I mean, if you want to put a female in there, then do like a witch or something like that.
Yeah.
I guess because they really want to keep the whole monster theme, but it just You know,
I don't know. You don't have to go that far to find female monsters. I mean,
right?
if you want to talk about witches, let's go Baba Yaga.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. But I wasn't there. I wasn't consulted.
No,
You know.
none of us were.
Right.
Of course.
With some of our choices, we should have been, though.
Man, you're an optimist.
Well,
Hey,
that
you
was
never
cool.
know. We could get on YouTube and we could all be famous by the end of the week. It happens.
Who wants to tell her we're already on YouTube?
Oh,
And we're
well.
still not famous.
Did you not see the comment that was posted today on her YouTube video?
I did, but it was like, how are we on YouTube when we do audio?
Well, because it basically just has the logo the whole time
Okay.
on the thing.
I said when I do listen to our show, I listen to it from the website.
Yeah, so you're essentially listening to it straight through Libsyn
Yeah.
that way. Yeah. Remember I was talking about adding sources to Libsyn's list. YouTube was one of them, so I put us on there.
Ah.
And, it's just audio, but has the logo sitting there.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
We get 1 or 2 a week off of it. Nothing
That's pretty
major.
cool. Yeah.
And then every once in a while we'll get a comment like we got today. And it's like, okay, as Mike said.
Yeah. And it was good, and we didn't have to pull out the fake less account.
Right. Yeah, we didn't have to block anybody or anything. It was nice.
Right. It was cool.
I'm not sure it meant anything, but it was not negative.
Yeah. I'll take it.
Right.
And it was cute.
And I'm not sure they actually had time to listen to that monstrosity either, but that's beside the point.
I listened to the majority of it this morning when it was released. I was kind of curious what you would keep.
Oh, I didn't cut much.
No, you didn't.
I didn't think I didn't think it needed to be cut. I mean, it wasn't going to be any shorter for me to cut it, so
Yeah.
why not?
Well, it's nice when we have guests like that on because the whole thing just kind of does itself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, we've been very good at picking guests who
Like to talk.
talk a lot, so yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
I mean, and there was certainly a lot to talk about in that topic, too. So.
There was. And I still think we just kind of scratched the surface, you know? Everybody's like 3-hour show to scratch the surface. Oh, man.
Not all at once. That's all I ask. Not all at once.
Yep.
All right. On that note, we are going to take a quick break and be back with our weekly picks. And we're back. It's time for our weekly picks, and leading off is Liz.
All right. For my new pick of the week, I've got one called The Prisoner. Now, on the cover, it says 1 of 2. So I guess this is going to be a short story. This is about a paramedic who, being a paramedic, he's probably seen the dirty side of the town, and he's just kind of become disenchanted with everything. And then they say that he's about to learn that courage and willpower are empty virtues when faced with suffering and agony and the devoid of mercy. So something changes. I guess he finally just snaps, and maybe he winds up a prisoner. I'm not real for sure on this, but it definitely caught my attention. I definitely want to get this one and find out what's going on with this one. And yeah, sounds like my kind of story. So.
Cool.
Nice. Alrighty. Mike, you are next.
Okie dokie. Well, my brand new pick is from Image Comics, and it is called The Department of Truth. This is issue number 1 of an ongoing series, apparently. And it is the story of a guy who has has always kind of been a conspiracy theory buff, except now he has discovered that a lot of the really weird, crazy conspiracy theories that have become famous over the years are all true, and that there is an organization who has been covering them up. And so he's going to learn about this, and it is going to be really fun to see how that works and what he does with it. Yeah, this is a new series from James Tynion IV. And he's working with artist Martin Simmons on this, and it's going to be really fun.
Oh, it should be pretty fun.
Does it give the air of a humorous book?
No.
From what I've got here, I'm not sure. I don't think so. Given some of the conspiracy theories that this little blurb mentions, it mentions JFK, it mentions flat Earth, it mentions reptilian shapeshifters. I don't think I'm not sure this is intended to be a comedy. I mean, I don't think that's what he usually does either.
No, he doesn't. So
he does some pretty serious, pretty dark stuff. So a dark version of that sounds like fun.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the one a couple of months ago that came out that was called, was it Into the Woods? And he meets the guy, and the guy starts telling him about light bulbs used to last forever, and this kind of reminded me of that kind of vibe with the conspiracy theories.
I do vaguely remember that one. Yeah. So yeah, it will be, yeah. This sounds a little more hands-on than that one. That one was just kind of a guy talking,
telling stories,
telling somebody else about all this stuff. And yeah, I'm not sure I ever saw the ending of that series, to be honest. But
now that you say that, I don't think I did either.
Yeah, I think it was getting around COVID time when that was happening, and so I'm not sure it ever really finished. I'd have to look into that.
Me too.
But yeah, I remember what you're talking about.
Alrighty, I am next, and for my new pick this week, it's an omnibus from Marvel Comics of Marvel Classics. These are comic book adaptations of classic literature. Involves like The Last of the Mohicans, Treasure Island, the Iliad, Odyssey, Ivanhoe, several other classic pieces of literature. This was actually done from the mid to late 70s. This collects issues 13 through 36. These were not books that I picked up when they first came out, but I have picked up some of these along the way, and these are some great comics. Obviously, they're great stories, but in the hands of some of the finest writers and artists Marvel had during the late 70s, this is definitely worth the pickup.
Yeah, this one was on my radar too. And I'm not usually a Marvel guy, and I'm not usually an omnibus guy, but I am seriously considering this one because it looks really good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Alrighty, Les, you're next.
For my choice, American Mythology is coming out with Hatchet, Halloween Tales 2. This is a series that has been around a while, and I don't recall if we covered the Halloween Tales 1 from last year, but here you've got 3 stories, and to me it's just going to be fun to step toward Halloween at this time, and then we'll be covering it extensively coming up. But you've got, like I said, 3 tales and just monsters and fun and everything else.
Okay, are these stories involving Victor Crowley, the dude from Hatchet? Do we know?
Yes.
These are something?
I think so.
Yes, it is.
Because I think I saw this one too. In fact,
I don't know if y'all have seen those movies. Those are crazy. I mean, they're gory, but they're crazy. Just some of the stuff you're just going, oh my god. So this could be a fun ride. This could be a crazy ride. So yeah.
I remember seeing this on the list, and I was like, I am not going to be surprised if Les picks this.
Yeah.
I actually stayed away from it because I was almost certain Les was going to pick it. So yeah, and it does look cool.
Yeah. Nice. Alrighty, Liz, you're up again.
All right. For my, in case you missed it, I am picking Octopus Pie. This one started off as a webcomic, and then I don't know if it went to Kickstart and then Image picked it up. But it's a really cute story. In the first couple of comics, she winds up losing her boyfriend. Now, this is a web comic, so it's told in a web comic style. It's not like a comic book style, so it's 8-panel story each time. But she's dumped by her boyfriend, and she gets this roommate named Hannah, who's like the stoner and, always trying to even her out, and Evie's kind of neurotic, so that never happens. So it's basically their stories. They're 20-somethings. It's kind of their story of the normal things that 20-somethings go through. How do you talk to your parents after you finish college, or where am I going to live? What kind of job am I going to have? So it's a very funny approach to that, and I don't know, it's so hilarious. So if you didn't get a chance to read this one, definitely pick it up. Like I said, I was glad when she did finally put it all together in a book to read, so you could have the whole collection, because I do think she ended this in 2017. So cute stories, short and quick, not a long. Well, it is a pretty thick book, but it's not a long read. It's not one you have to finish before you set it down. So light and funny.
Nice.
Yeah,
I like that.
Alrighty, I believe Mike is next.
I am next, and my pick is not light and funny. Because I thought about this because we're getting ready to jump into Halloween here. We're getting ready to jump into horror month, and so I figure let's get this puppy started off right. And so my pick is from IDW Publishing, and this book's been out a while, and it's called 30 Days of Night. You may have heard of it. There was a movie or something. And it is about some folks in a town called Barrow, Alaska. And the recognizable feature about this town is that it is far enough north that during the winter the sun doesn't come up for an entire month. So what do you think would happen if a bunch of vampires showed up when that happened? That's the story, folks.
Yeah.
It is actually a very important story. If nothing else, it was kind of the breakout for Steve Niles. It also was kind of the breakout for Ben Templesmith, who was an unbelievable artist. And again, the movie was actually pretty damn good for a comics adaptation. Which was actually kind of helped by the fact that the story was originally pitched as a movie before it became a comic. So it was kind of a natural fit. And it's very good, and it's very dark and nasty and awesome.
I agree. That's a great choice.
And Barrow is a real town.
Yes, it is.
That is where we lost Wiley Price and Will Rogers. They were flying there, and because Rogers was finally talked into flying in an airplane, that's where they went down. It was Point Barrow, Alaska, just right near Barrow.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right, I am next, and for my, in case you missed it, it's actually a recent release. It's from DC Comics. It's another omnibus. It is Legion of Superheroes 5 years later. And this collects Legion of Superheroes 1 through 39, Timberwolf 1 through 5, Legion of Superheroes Annuals 1 through 3, and Adventures of Superman 478. This is... They did a 5-year jump in the timeline, and obviously the Legion's older, and a lot of shit has gone down, and this is kind of, if you're a Legion fan, this is kind of one of the runs by Keith Giffen and Tom and Mary Bierbaum that's kind of controversial. It's you either enjoy these stories or you didn't, because it was definitely a different take. It was something different. But it was a great run. I'm one of those that enjoyed the heck out of it. And this is the first time these stories have been reprinted ever. So it's really cool that this has happened. So I definitely got to get my hands on this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah. Okay, and then Les, you are next.
My choice is a fairly recent book also. It's called The Big Tease by Bruce Timm. This is a collection of artwork by Timm, who is known for the Batman animated series. This is a large book of nudes and semi-nudes done in the Timm style. It's a fabulous collection of the human body, and he pulls no punches as far as the art goes. I recommend this to collectors that are looking for something maybe just off kilter enough. And there's no verbiage in it, just picture after picture. So for some of you, nothing to slow you down. Just take it and enjoy.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Any special shout-outs this week?
I don't think so.
No.
For me, just one.
Yeah.
The passing of our Supreme Court Justice. The woman had such an impact on our nation.
She did.
And it's sad to know that she is gone at this time.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Which should be an important reminder to vote. You've got till the 15th to register.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. We will move on to our regular shout-outs. First off, I want to thank Pop Goes Culture Podcast Network for allowing us to be part of a great group of fellow podcasters. Definitely want you to check them out. There will be a link in the show notes. We also want you to check out the Fine Men and Women in Makeup Potter family on Twitter, who've been gracious enough to spread the word of the fellowship. And the easiest way you can check out their fine work is just do a search, #PotterandFamily, one word, and just scroll through whatever catches your attention. Click on that link, download that episode, and hope you have a good time listening. Thank you guys as always. I want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying the music to our podcast. Definitely check out their music. There will be a link in the show notes for them as well. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. We value your feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Any questions, comments, complaints, observations, suggestions, what have you, please contact us. There are several ways you can do that. Our email address is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, or you can go to our website, www.thefellowshipofthegeeks.net, go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form you can fill out there. You can also reach us through our Discord. There's access on the front page, invites on the front page, and on each page with our social media icons. You can follow us on Facebook, and you can follow us, obviously, we're on Twitter, @Fellowship Geeks. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found @MikeyGeek. Liz can be found @LN_geek. And I can be found @TomTCGeek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you would be so kind as to rate and review our show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for listening.
And just a reminder, starting next week, it's going to be our horror month. We've been excited about this, and we can't wait to present these episodes to you. So stay tuned for that. Mm-hmm. Thank you for listening, and until next time, geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook @The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter @Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,